I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-ma-gob, it's time for the only news that matters. And Paul Stanley of KISS was at the AFI Grand Finale doing a performance, and Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, yes, those blind sheep that don't mind seeing KISS play the tapes with two imposters. And past performances at that AFI game was Meatloaf, who did it in 2011, that received a lot of criticism. Some news outlets even called him and his performance the perennial poster child of what not to do at the grand final day. Stanley recently shared a few words with fans about the upcoming performance, and he also gave his 2 cents on Meatloaf's performance, saying, "It's an honor for us to be here. Australians are passionate and certainly about this game. It's going to be a challenge for us to be louder than the crowd, but we're going to do our best. We plan on blowing things up, and we promise you there's no meatloaf on the menu." Gene also took to his X platform to thank the AFL and fans for giving them the chance to play the final games, and he wrote, "Thank you to AFL, Australia Football League, and passionate 106,000 fans for letting us play at the grand finals. Sending our good wishes to the Magpies and the Lions. May the best team win." Last year, Robbie Williams' performance was well received by fans in the pink suit. Besides Williams, the Killers, Birds of Tokyo, Ed Sheeran, and Jimmy Barnes are also among what the critics considered as the better performers of the last decade. And all right, so this show was, I saw it. It was 3 songs, and it was, I saw everybody online glowing how amazing it is. Oh my God, they were awesome. And that was the first thing I saw. They go, "Oh my God, KISS was the best band ever, blah, blah, blah." And I'm thinking, who the hell's played this thing for them to be good? This was, mind you, before I watched it. So I did watch it. And of course, I didn't have high hopes, because KISS has been a joke to me live for decades. You know, it's just, it's not KISS. It's a bunch of old dudes and 2 younger guys that are behaving, and Eric is dumbing down his drumming, and Tommy Thayer's doing the Kiss Alive A solo. It's embarrassing. But yet people love it, like this performance. And I'm watching it, and all I see is a bunch of bombs. You know, they're out in the stadium, and you know, Paul singing the tapes. Gene looks like a goofball, he looks like a meatball wrapped in tinfoil. And, you know, the other 2 are scabs that are just a joke. And, of course, there's Paul singing the tapes. Now, for Paul, I mean, the size of the clit this guy must have to say something about Meatloaf, who, all right, he did a horrible performance, but, you know, how about you, Paul? How about you going out there with no tapes? Because that's what Meatloaf did. Can you imagine how bad he would be? I mean, Jesus, man. For him to talk bad about anybody vocally is a joke. It's a joke. It's a disgrace. And I don't understand how people will let him get away with it. God, I wish Paul would have said that to me on camera, so I could have said, whoa, wait a second. You're making fun of Meatloaf's voice? You, of all people, that sounds like a croaking frog on stage, that you had to get tapes to sound somewhat decent so you can sing along to tapes. The tapes are blaring longer than louder than you are, and it's just disgraceful. And it shows you how disillusioned Paul Stanley is, where he actually had the nerve to talk about somebody's vocal like if his vocals were good, because he does live in this la-la land. You know, when anybody brings up his vocals, he said, well, I'm not supposed to sound like I did on Kiss Alive. Yeah, but, you know, you should quit when you sound like a dying hyena in a highway. You know, that you should quit then, you know. Of course you're not going to sound like Kiss Alive, because you're not like Robin Zander or Glenn Hughes, who still have amazing voices, and they were singing way back then when you were. But, you know, I understand when you age, your voice goes. It's natural. I'm not bashing Paul for his crappy voice now. I'm bashing him because he's got a crappy voice, and he's making fun of Meatloaf's crappy voice when he did that show that with the game where he got a lot of criticism. Paul didn't get no criticism for them playing that game because he was singing to tapes. If there was any justice in this world, after Paul Stanley said that about Meatloaf, they should have grabbed Paul Stanley, strapped him down on a chair, and have him watch his little introduction to Love Gun from the Kiss Animalized home video on a loop for 17 and a half hours. Just him talking about going to the doctor and 501 jeans over and over again, just to see him do his lame-ass David Lee Roth impression in the 80s over and over again, so he can cringe. Because you know he hates that. That's why they never released Kiss Animalized on those Kissteria or Kisstery, whatever those DVDs were called. Yeah, they didn't release the Animalized live there because he's ashamed of it. Rightfully so, because it is cringeworthy. I don't know, man. Hey, more power to you guys. I think he is the greatest frontman ever. Good for you to thinking that. Me, I can't think of a worse frontman than Paul Stanley. He is the worst. I hate him. People, I hate his stage raps. He's a good performer when he's not rapping between songs. But my God, what a terrible, terrible. I'm telling you, I think Vince Neil's a better frontman. And Vince Neil sucks ass. But hey, we live in a world today that people would pay a lot of money to see Kiss perform to tapes and Gene looking like a odd meatball and these two scabs on. It's just, my God. What the hell? That's Kiss, man. Kiss was a badass band that turned into this horrible joke of a band with both Paul and Gene keep talking about, yeah, you know, we're still awesome and we're taking a victory lap on this farewell because we don't want to stay too long at the party. Didn't they say that back in 2000? And guess what? They stayed too late at the party. With Paul losing his voice. You know how Paul and Gene always talk about, oh, we're going to replace ourselves. It's a lie. They're never going to replace themselves. Because if they were going to replace themselves, Paul Stanley would have replaced himself 10 years ago when his voice started going. But no, he doesn't want to replace himself. He's just saying that to justify Tommy and Eric in the band in that classic makeup. Saying, oh, you know, I mean, they're in the Ace and Peter makeup, but you know what? We're going to replace ourselves too. Bullshit. It's never, ever going to happen. Mark my words. And end of the road, these nuts. That ain't going to happen. Anyway, that's it. Paul Stanley's a stupid hypocrite, but then again, what else is new? Thank you all for watching the only news that matters. And please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. And ring that little notification bell, and please like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. and so nevermore shall we see you again.